Welcome to Storytime with Nanny, day 47. We're going to read another book that my mom, well actually I was going to wait just a minute on reading this because I couldn't, I need to take time to look up who wrote it and illustrated it because the book is so old and so worn out it doesn't give me that information. So we'll start with Mickey Mouse and the Pet Shop by Mary Packard and illustrated by Gull, Guell. Have a good time, called Mickey. Mr. Palmer was leaving for an overnight trip, and he asked Mickey to take care of his pet shop while he was gone. "This will be a snap," Mickey said. "A snap," repeated Mr. Palmer's pet parrot. Mickey gazed at the cuddly pets and colorful fish. They all seemed content. All but one, that is. A cute little puppy was whining and whimpering in the saddest way. "Poor little fella," said Mickey. "What you need is some attention." Mickey lifted the puppy from the kennel. "Steady, boy," said Mickey. But the lively puppy wriggled free and raced over to the goldfish bowl for a drink. "Watch out," screeched the parrot, but he was too late. The bowl tumbled to the floor with a crash. "Uh-oh," cried Mickey. "Crash, crash," squawked the bird, furiously flapping his wings. "Gotcha!" Mickey caught the fish and put it in a new bowl. Mickey put the puppy back in the kennel. Now you can't cause any more trouble." Just then he heard the door open and in walked his first customer. "Can I help you?" Mickey asked, but before the customer could answer, the puppy got free again and opened the door to the cage of mice. "Eek! I'll come back later, much later," cried the customer as she raced for the door. Mickey gathered up all the pets and put them back where they belonged. "Don't worry, little guy," he said. "Someone will buy you. You'll see." That night the puppy howled at the top of his lungs. Mickey covered his ears with a pillow, but it didn't help. It wasn't long before the puppy got exactly what he wanted, a cozy spot under the covers right next to Mickey. When Mickey woke up the next morning, the store was a mess. Worse still, he couldn't find the puppy anywhere. Mickey searched high and low for his little friend. Finally, he caught sight of a wriggling bundle of fish food. Mickey looked inside the bag. "There you are," he exclaimed happily. "I guess all you wanted was some breakfast." "Well," sighed Mickey, "I guess I should tidy up the store." As he worked, the puppy trotted along beside him, helping out wherever he could. "You may be a rascal," said Mickey, "but I am getting used to having you around." Mickey had just finished when in strode Mr. Palmer. "It looks like everything went smoothly," he said, handing Mickey his paycheck. "Easy as pie," replied a very tired Mickey. Mickey was about to leave when the puppy began to howl and scratch at the door of his kennel. "I'm going to miss you too, little fella," said Mickey sadly. Suddenly Mickey thought of the perfect solution. He'd take the pup instead of the pay. Everybody was very happy, especially the parrot, who screeched, "And don't come back." That wasn't nice, was it? But what should I call you, he wondered. Just then he saw a newspaper headline, "New pictures of planet Pluto." "That's it, I'll call you Pluto," exclaimed Mickey. Pluto gave his new master a big wet kiss, and from that day on, Mickey and Pluto were the best of friends. As you can tell, at least your parents could probably tell, that book was written some time ago. This book, I'm going to try to explain it to you because it is better. You know, I tell you, I give you the authors' names and everything, so this is a book you especially like. You can get your parents to maybe get that for you for a special occasion. This one, I always thought of it being nothing but Dr. Seuss, but it is a Dr. Seuss book, but it's by Stan and Jan Bernstein. So I just now realized that for the first time, and I've had this book for years, but it's Bears on Wheels. But it's a good book to look at. That's why I was telling you, you might want to order it, because when I'm reading it, you might think, what does that mean, 1 on 10? Because you're not seeing what I'm seeing. But like 1 on 10 in this book means 1 person on 10 wheels. And when it says 10 on none, means all 10 bears went flying up in the air. But it's Bears on Wheels. It's a really good beginner reading book. It's a Random House book. 1 bear, 1 wheel. 1 bear on 1 wheel. 2 bears on 1 wheel. 3 on 1, 4 on 1. 4 bears on 1 wheel. 1 bear on 2 wheels. 4 on 2, 1 on 1 again. 1 on 1, 3 on 1. None on 4, 4 on none. Those are all up in the air. 1 on 1 again. 5 on 1. 5 bears on 1, 5 bears on none. 10 on 1. 1 bear on 5 wheels. 1 on 5, 10 on 1, 10 on 10. 21 on none. 1 on 1 again. I loved those books when I was a kid. Let's see. Let's do Winnie the Pooh and Eeyore's Tale. There's so many different versions of Winnie the Pooh books out there, but I've always, as you know, loved Winnie the Pooh. Let's see. It says reprinted by arrangements with Disney Press, Walt Disney Company, based on the stories by A.A. Milne and the Pooh Properties Trust. Poor Eeyore was tired of his tail. It seemed that whenever he did the least little thing, it fell off. Just today it had come loose as he trotted over to Rabbit's garden. This time Eeyore decided enough was enough. He left his tail in the grass. Tigger didn't think an Eeyore without a tail was such a good idea. How will you know your back from your front? He asked. I hadn't thought of that, said Eeyore. But how can I find my tail again? Have no fear, Tigger replied. Private Eye Tigger is here. In the meantime, Rabbit had found Eeyore's tail lying on the ground. He had painted a little face on it and used it as a worm wrangler. Hi, Rabbit. What's that? Asked Pooh, pointing to the tail. Oh, nothing, said Rabbit. Nothing at all. He left the worm wrangler lying on the ground. Pooh said to himself, there's no sense letting whatever that is going to waste. Maybe I can use it for something. And so he picked up Eeyore's tail and went on his way. By now, Private Eye Tigger was hot on the tail's trail, and he was ready to question his first suspect. When was the last time you saw Eeyore's tail? Tigger demanded, bouncing into Rabbit's house. I don't know anything about it, answered Rabbit. But Pooh just left, and now my worm wrangler is missing. Ha, said Private Eye Tigger, bouncing away. Meanwhile, Pooh was out in the woods using the tail to tickle some bees out of their hive. While the bees giggled, Pooh scooped out several pawfuls of honey. The trouble was, Pooh was having so much fun eating that he forgot to keep on tickling. The angry bees chased him until he tripped and caught his head in his honey jar. Pooh rolled down the hill until he smacked into Eeyore, Rabbit, and Tigger. Give Rabbit back his worm wrangler, Tigger ordered. I don't know anything about a worm wrangler, but I'm missing a bee tickler, said Pooh. Will you help me find it? Not far away, Piglet was shaking with fear. He had spotted Eeyore's tail waving from a bush, and he didn't trust it one little bit. That looks like part of a very large animal, said Piglet. It was a very small animal. I wonder what's attached to the other end. The wind deposited the tail at Piglet's feet. Piglet was relieved to see that nothing was attached to the tail. I'll make this into a bully bamboozler, he exclaimed. It will be perfect for scaring off very large animals. And so he got a balloon and some paint and went to work. Tigger, meanwhile, was still scouring the woods, looking for whoever had stolen Eeyore's tail. Rabbit's worm wrangler and Pooh's bee tickler, he thought it might be Piglet. Then the bully bamboozler appeared. The bully bamboozler looked just like the picture of Piglet that Tigger had drawn on a wanted poster. That picture looked nothing like Piglet at all. When Tigger snatched the balloon, it burst, sending Eeyore's tail flying. When Owl flew by, he saw Eeyore's tail. He was astonished. That was exactly like my Uncle Torbit's bell rope, he exclaimed. I must have it. And so he happily scooped up the tail and carried it back home. Tigger saw the whole thing. So Owl's the one, he said. Tigger bounced up to Owl's door, pulled off the bell rope, and marched inside. What have we here? He asked Owl, tossing the evidence on the chair. Ouch, cried Eeyore. He had finally found his tail by sitting on it. Aha, said Tigger as he held up Eeyore's tail for all to see. My worm wrangler, said Rabbit. My bee tickler, said Pooh. My bully bamboozler, said Piglet. Uncle Torbit's bell rope, said Owl. My tail, said Eeyore. Tigger pinned the tail back on Eeyore. Another case solved, he said proudly. Thank goodness, said Eeyore. I never knew how much I missed my tail until it wasn't there to fall off. And sometimes that's how it is in life. We don't know that we're going to miss it until we don't have it. I know this is cute. Arthur's Pet Business by Mark Brown. It's an Arthur adventure. And we actually read a story about Arthur training his puppy. And actually this is the story that would have gone before that. So we're going to read it now. You've been looking at puppies for months, said D.W. When are you going to ask Mom and Dad if you can have one? I'm waiting for just the right moment, said Arthur, so promise not to say anything. That night at dinner, Father asked, what's new? Arthur wants a puppy, said D.W. Blabbermouth, said Arthur. A puppy is a big responsibility, said Father. I can take care of it, said Arthur. Well, think about it, Mother said. That means no, explained D.W. After dinner, Mother and Father did the dishes. Can you hear what they're saying? Asked Arthur. They're worried about the new carpet, whispered D.W. Suddenly the door opened. We've decided you may have a puppy if you can take care of it, said Father. Wow, said Arthur. But, said Mother, first you need to show us you're responsible. How will I ever prove I'm responsible? Asked Arthur. The best way I know is to get a job, said D.W. Then you can pay back the $7 you owe me. Ka-ching went her cash register. Arthur wondered what kind of job he could do. You could work for my dad at the bank, said Muffy. He needs some tellers. If I were you, I'd get a job at Joe's junkyard, crushing old cars, offered Binky Barnes. Do something that you like, said Francine. That gave Arthur an idea. I'll take care of other people's pets, said Arthur. Then Mom and Dad will know I can take care of my own. Arthur and Francine put up signs to advertise his new business. His family helped too. Arthur waited and waited. Then, just before bedtime, the phone rang. Hello, he said. Arthur's Pet Business. How may I help you? Yes. No. When? Where? Great, said Arthur. Hooray, I'm going to watch Mrs. Wood's dog while she's on vacation, and I'll earn $10. Oh, no, said D.W., not that nasty little Perky. Isn't that the dog the mailman calls Jaws? Asked Father. That's Perky, said D.W. The next morning, Arthur ran all the way to Mrs. Wood's house. Right on time, said Mrs. Wood. Brrr, growled Perky. She hasn't been herself lately, said Mrs. Wood. I'm sorry. I'll take care of her, said Arthur. We'll be best friends. Grrr, growled Perky. Here's her schedule and a list of things she doesn't like, said Mrs. Wood. I'll see you next Sunday. Arthur did his best to make Perky feel at home. Every day he brushed her. He tried to fix her favorite foods. They took lots of long walks, day and night. Perky made sure they had the whole sidewalk to themselves. You look exhausted, said Mother. Maybe taking care of a dog is too much work. Any dog I get will be easier than Perky, said Arthur. Word of Arthur's Pet Business got around. On Monday, the Macmillans asked Arthur to watch their canary, Sunny. On Tuesday, Pernilla gave Arthur her ant farm. On Wednesday, the brain asked Arthur to take care of his frogs while he went on vacation. Best of all, on Thursday, the amazing Larry asked Arthur to keep Cuddles, his trained boa constrictor. Animals were everywhere until Mother put her foot down. I want all these animals in the basement now, she ordered. By bedtime, all the pets were downstairs, all except Perky. Perky slept in Arthur's room. On Saturday, Buster asked Arthur to go to the movies. I can't, said Arthur. When I finish cleaning these cages, it will be feeding time. And anyway, it's Perky's last night with me, and she seems sick. I don't want to leave her. Well, I bet you're happy today, said D.W. the next morning. You get rid of Perky and collect $10. I can't believe it, said Arthur, but I'm going to miss Perky. Arthur and Mrs. Wood just called to say she's on her way over, said Mother. Now wait here, Perky, ordered Arthur. I'll go and get your leash. When Arthur went back into the kitchen, Perky was gone. Here, Perky, Perky, called Arthur, but Perky didn't come. She's not in the basement, called Father. She's not in the backyard, said D.W. She's lost, said Arthur. Oh, no, said D.W. You're in big trouble. Arthur, Mrs. Wood is here, called Mother. Hi, Mrs. Wood, said D.W. Guess what? Arthur lost Perky. My poor little darling is lost, asked Mrs. Wood. Don't worry, said Father. Arthur's looking for her right now. Suddenly they heard a bark. Everybody, come quick, called Arthur. Look, said Arthur. Perky's had puppies. No wonder she's been acting so strange, said Mrs. Wood. You've done a wonderful job taking care of Perky when she needed a friend the most. How can I ever thank you? A reward might be nice, suggested D.W. Shh, said Mother. Here's the money I owe you, said Mrs. Wood. And how would you like to keep one of Perky's puppies as a special thank you? I'd love to, said Arthur. If I'm allowed. Of course, said Mother. You've earned it. Wow, said Arthur. $10 and my very own puppy. I can't believe it. Neither can I, said D.W. Now you can finally pay me back my $7. Ka-ching went her cash register. That D.W. just tickles me. She is a hoot. We're going to read a story that it was one of my books, and it was a little sad, but it has a happy ending. But it was very sad to me when I was little, parts of it. But it does have a happy ending, like I said, and it is called Walt Disney's Dumbo. It's illustrated by Walt Disney Studio, a Golden Press book. And I'm sure the story was adapted because it's been around for so long. But I can't believe, I just noticed it looks like it says 29 cents for a book. That's making me feel a little ancient right now. But yes, this is one when I was little. It was spring in the circus. Everyone was singing. Everyone was happy. Happiest of all was Mrs. Jumbo, for in her stall in the circus train was a chubby, brand new baby elephant. Though the other animals called the baby Dumbo, his mother loved him dearly, even though his ears were big. All aboard, shouted the ringmaster. After a long winter's rest, it was time to set out again on the open road. Toot toot whistled Casey Jones, the locomotive of the circus train, and with a jiggity jerk and a brisky puff puff, off sped Casey Jones. It was dark when Casey Jones whistled and puffed into the station. Rain poured down hard, but the circus began to unload. The workmen jumped down from the freight cars. They lighted torches and stuck them in the ground. Men and animals came bustling out of the train into the windy, wet night. They all helped to get the circus tent up. Even Mrs. Jumbo's new baby helped. By morning, the rain had stopped. The tent was all set up, and the circus was busy getting ready for the big parade. The band played. Everyone fell in line. Then off pranced the gay procession down the main street. There were creamy white horses, colored seals. There were lady acrobats in pink silk tights, lions pacing in their gilded wagon cages, elephants marching with slow, even steps. The crowds on the sidewalk cheered. Then suddenly their eyes opened wide. They craned their necks. Look, look, they cried. Look at the That silly animal with the draggy ears. He can't be an elephant, he must be a clown. Not nice, is it? They burst out in loud laughs. Sadly, Dumbo toddled behind his mother with his trunk clasped to her tail. He tried to hurry along faster so he wouldn't hear the laughter, but he stumbled. He tipped over his ears. Down he splashed into a puddle of mud. Now the crowds laughed even louder. Mrs. Jumbo scowled at them. She picked up Dumbo and carried him in her trunk the rest of the way. I don't know that this might not be where it started, that I would get upset if anybody ever made fun of somebody, because this story really got to me when I was little. When the parade finally came back to the tent, Mrs. Jumbo put Dumbo in her wooden bathtub, and as she scrubbed, she whispered comforting words. A gang of noisy boys came pushing in first for the afternoon show. "We want to see the elephant," they yelled, "the one with the sailboat ears. Look, there he is." A boy grabbed one of Dumbo's ears and pulled it hard. Then he made an ugly face and stuck out his tongue. Mrs. Jumbo couldn't stand it. She snatched the boy up with her trunk, dropped him across the rope, and spanked him hard. "Help!" he cried. "Help! Help!" "What's going on there?" cried the ringmaster, and snapped his whip at Mrs. Jumbo. "Tie her down," he yelled. Mrs. Jumbo reared on her hind legs, but soon she was behind the bars in a prison wagon with a big sign that said, "Danger, mad elephant, keep out." The next day they made Dumbo into a clown. They painted his face with a foolish grin and dressed him in a baby dress. On his head they put a bonnet. They used him in the most ridiculous act in the show, a make-believe fire. He had to jump from the top of a blazing cardboard house down into a fireman's net. The audience thought it was a great joke, but Dumbo felt disgraced. "He's a disgrace to us," the big animals agreed and turned their backs on him. Hidden in a pile of hay was Timothy Mouse, the smallest animal with the circus. "They can't treat the little fellow that way," he muttered. "Not while Timothy Mouse is around." "Hey there, little fellow," he called to Dumbo. "Don't be afraid. I'm your friend. I want to help you. Say," he went on, staring at Dumbo's ears, "those ears are as good as wings. I'll teach you to fly." Quietly, Dumbo and Timothy crept out of the tent to Mother Jumbo. Dumbo told her all about the clown act and how unhappy he was without her, and about the wonderful idea Timothy had for making him a success. Then sadly they said goodbye. Good night, and Timothy and Dumbo continued on their way. When Timothy, as teacher, Dumbo practiced running and jumping and hopping. He tried slow and fast takeoffs and standing and running jumps. He stretched out his wings and flapped them 1, 2, 3, 4. Then he tried the whole thing together, but hard as he tried, Dumbo could not leave the ground. At last, almost too tired to stand, the two friends gave up and started gloomily back toward the sleeping circus. "Don't worry, Dumbo," Timothy whispered as he curled up on Dumbo's hat brim for a good night's sleep. "We'll have you flying yet." When the morning sun arose, Timothy was the first to awaken. He blinked and looked up. Just above him, 4 old black crows sat and stared at him. Why, yawned Timothy, rubbing his eyes. "Where am I?" "You're up in our tree," snapped the crows crossly. "That's where you are." "Tree?" gasped Timothy. He looked around. Sure enough, there he was, sitting on a branch. He and Dumbo were up in a tree. The ground was far, far below. But how did we get here?" he stammered. "How?" crackled the crow. "You and the elephant just came flying up." "Flying?" Timothy yelled. Dumbo, wake up. Dumbo, we're up in a tree. You flew here." Slowly, Dumbo opened his eyes. He glanced down. He gulped. He struggled to his feet. But suddenly he slipped on the smooth tree bark and fell. Down, down, down. He bounced from branch to branch, with Timothy clinging to his trunk. Plonk! They landed in a shallow pond just beneath the tree. The crows chuckled and called from above. Timothy scrambled out of the water and wrung out Dumbo's tail. "Dumbo," he panted, "you can fly. If you can fly when you're asleep, you can fly when you're awake. Your ears, Dumbo, they're your fortune." He grabbed one of Dumbo's wet ears and patted it. You won't be a clown anymore. You'll be famous, the only flying elephant in the whole wide world." And Timothy and Dumbo began all over again to practice flying. But it wasn't easy. Time after time, Dumbo tried to take off. Time after time, he sprawled out flat on his face. Soon the crows began to feel sorry for the little fellow. When Timothy told them all the sad things that had happened to Dumbo because of his big ears, they flew down and offered to help. One of the crows took Timothy's aside. "Flying just like swimming," he whispered. "It's just a matter of believing that you can do it." He turned and snatched a long black feather from his tail. "Here, take this. Tell the baby elephant it's a special feather. Tell him if he holds it he can fly." The boss crow winked and flew off. Timothy handed Dumbo the feather and scurried up his trunk to the brim of his cap. He held his breath. The trick worked like a charm. The very instant that Dumbo wrapped the tip of his trunk around the feather, flap, flap, flap went his ears. Up into the air he soared like a bird. Over the tallest treetops he sailed. He glided, he dipped, he dived. 3 times he circled over the heads of cheering crowds. Then he headed back to the circus grounds. Timothy shouted, "We must keep you flying, a secret, a surprise for your act in the afternoon show." No one noticed Dumbo when he and Timothy came quietly back. It was already time for Dumbo to get into his costume. Inside the walls of a cardboard house he had to wait all through the show until fire crackled up around him. At last Timothy leaned down and handed him the feather. Crack, crack, crackled the fire. The clown act was on. Flames shot up around the cardboard house. Clang, clang roared the clown fire engine, rushing toward the blaze. From the far end of the ring, a red-headed mother clown came running. "Save my baby," she screamed. "He's on the top floor." The fireman brought a big net and held it out. "Jump, my darling baby, jump," shrieked the mother clown. Dumbo jumped. As he jumped, the black feather slipped from his trunk and floated away. Now his special feather was gone, and Dumbo plunged down like a stone. Timothy saw the feather go. "The feather's a fake," he shouted frantically to Dumbo. "You can fly." Dumbo heard the shout and doubtfully spread his ears wide. Now 2 feet above the net he stopped his plunge and swooped up into the air. A mighty gasp arose from the audience. They knew it couldn't be, but it was. Dumbo was flying. While the crowd roared its delight, Dumbo did power dives, loops, spins, and barrel rolls. He swooped down to pick up peanuts and squirted a trunkful of water on the clowns. The keepers freed Mrs. Jumbo and brought her to the tent in triumph to see her baby fly. So all of Dumbo's worries had come to an end. By evening, Dumbo was a hero from coast to coast. Timothy became his manager and saw to it that Dumbo got a wonderful contract with a big salary and a pension for his mother. The circus was renamed Dumbo's Flying Circus. And Dumbo traveled in a special streamlined car. But best of all, he forgave everyone who had been unkind to him, for his heart was as big as his ears. I loved that story when I was little, and I still like it. It's still sad in parts, but it does have a happy ending. It makes me think Dumbo did something no one else had ever done. Not an elephant, anyway. And how did he do it? It started because someone believed in him. He had one good, true friend. And then they became friends with a couple of more people, the crows. And with help, he accomplished something no other elephant could accomplish. And I think Dumbo can be significant for us as people. Not necessarily in the same way, but we all need a good friend and maybe a couple of more good friends. And that believe in us and want what's best for us, and then we can accomplish great things. That's what I take out of the Dumbo story. And that's one of my favorite animals, are the elephants. Everything I've ever read about them, they're just a very special animal. Well, that does seem like that is all that we have time for today, but we have lots more books, so please tune in again, and thank you for tuning in to Storytime with Nanny. And I hope to see you next time. And I hope you have a great, blessed day.